On a freezing Michigan night, a brave black single mom opened her home to 25 stranded bikers, never imagining how her kindness would come back to her. The next morning, 1,500 Hells Angels filled her street in gratitude. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Where are you watching from? Let's get started. Winter storms in Michigan are never forgiving, especially in the outskirts of Detroit, where the snow piles up faster than the city can clear it. On one of the coldest nights of the year, Alicia Carter, a hard-working black single mom, was driving home from her late shift at a local diner. Her old Chevy Malibu struggled through the icy roads, and the heater barely worked, but she kept going. She had to get home to her 10-year-old son, Malik. As she turned onto a long stretch of rural highway, her headlights caught something unusual, dark shapes huddled near the roadside. At first, she thought it was an accident, but when she slowed down, she saw 25 bikers, shivering, covered in snow, and trying to shield themselves from the brutal wind. Their motorcycles were half buried in ice, chrome frozen solid. Alicia's instinct told her to keep driving. She was alone, it was late, she had a child at home, but another part of her, a part shaped by years of hardship, knew exactly what it felt like to be stranded with no help. She stopped, cracked the window, and called out, "Y'all okay out here?" One of the bikers stepped forward, his beard frozen, breath visible in the air. "Our van broke down. We're trying to get back to the city. Phones are dead, no signal. We've been out here for hours." Alicia's heart twisted. They looked exhausted, cold to the bone. She made a decision she didn't fully understand herself, a decision her friends would later call crazy and unbelievable. "Follow me," she said. "My house is just a couple miles away. You can warm up there." The men looked stunned. Strangers didn't offer help like this, not in storms like these, not in places like this. But desperation pushed them. They abandoned their bikes and followed her slowly, limping through knee-deep snow until her little home came into view. Inside, Alicia rushed from room to room, pulling out every blanket she owned. Malik, half asleep, peered from the hallway as 25 massive, freezing bikers squeezed into their small living room. "It's okay, baby," Alicia whispered. "They just need help." She heated pot after pot of soup, her stove working overtime in the chilly kitchen. The bikers warmed their hands, removed their frozen gloves, and began to thaw, physically and emotionally. They shared tragic stories, lost brothers, memories of old rides across the country. Alicia listened, nodded, and offered kindness without asking who they were or what club they belonged to. One biker, a tall man with deep scars across his knuckles, watched her closely and finally said, "Ma'am, people don't usually do things like this for us." Alicia smiled softly. "Cold don't care who you are, and neither do I." What she didn't know, what she couldn't have imagined, was that these weren't just regular bikers. They were members of a major Hells Angels chapter, men who were used to being feared, judged, and avoided. And tonight, a single mom had opened her home to them like family. The next morning, Alicia woke to a low rumble, deep, continuous, shaking the floorboards of her small house. For a moment, she thought it was thunder or maybe snow sliding off the roof, but the sound only grew louder, heavier, almost rhythmic. She hurried to the window, rubbing frost from the glass. Her breath caught. Her entire street, normally quiet, nearly forgotten by the city, was filled with motorcycles, hundreds of them, row after row after row, stretching beyond what her eyes could track. Engines idled like a living thunderstorm. Alicia's heart pounded. Malik ran up behind her wide-eyed. "Mom, are those the same guys?" Before she could answer, someone knocked on the door, slow, heavy, deliberate. She opened it a crack and gasped. Standing on her porch was a man built like a mountain, wearing a worn leather vest with the unmistakable patch, Hells Angels Motorcycle Club, National Division. Behind him stood dozens more, all silent, all watching her with a strange mix of respect and gratitude. "Ma'am," the man said, removing his sunglasses even though it was barely sunrise. "I'm Hawk, National President," he gestured to the street, "and these are your guests." A nervous tremor ran through Alicia. I just helped the guys last night. I didn't expect." She motioned weakly toward the overwhelming sea of bikers. Hawk smiled, a small, rare, genuine smile. My brothers told me everything, about the storm, about how you opened your home to them, no judgment, no fear, just kindness. He paused. People don't do that for us, not anymore. Alicia shook her head. Anyone would have helped. Respectfully, ma'am, Hawk said, no, they wouldn't have. He turned toward the street and raised 2 fingers. Engines roared to life, hundreds of them. The sound was powerful enough to shake loose snow from rooftops. Then one by one, bikers approached her yard with tools, lumber, groceries, boxes, envelopes, an endless stream of generosity. Within minutes, her home became a hive of activity. A full crew replaced her cracked windows. Another team repaired the damaged roof. 2 bikers installed a brand new furnace. A group unloaded crates of food, enough to fill her pantry 3 times over. Mechanics inspected her old Chevy and replaced nearly everything under the hood. Malik watched in awe as one biker knelt down and handed him a brand new winter coat. Your mom saved our brothers, he said softly. That makes you family. Alicia stood speechless as Hawk approached her again, handing her a sealed envelope. Inside was a certified document, her mortgage paid in full. Tears filled her eyes. Why would you do all this? Hawk placed a hand over his chest. In our world, loyalty matters, brotherhood matters, and last night you showed more heart than most people show in a lifetime. He stepped back, raising his hand. At 800 hours, word went out. Anyone who could ride, rode. That's why 1,500 of us are here. Alicia wiped her tears as the engines thundered again. Her simple act of kindness had sparked something far bigger, reminding one of America's most feared brotherhoods what compassion truly looked like.